Hi everybody, a little comments on these paintings that I did a little while ago. This is an acrylic painting. I did a sketch and very cheesy as usual. I just like to have fun. You do a lot of work for the university, so when I paint or draw, I just go into the zone, and I like to paint silliness and adventure stuff. So a barbarian lady, but with a machine gun. A little bit like those 1980s movies, really cheesy. I kind of like that. Unapologetic sort of style. And it's always from imagination. Like I never copy anything. I may look at reference maybe for a machine gun. Here you can see the machine gun was just very imaginative, and then I thought, I need to kind of look at some reference to make it look a little bit better. Because I didn't have the time to do a bunch of sketches of possible guns, etc., etc. And on top of the sketch there, I just started by putting a sort of sepia, like a inking, if you will, phase. A lot of people do that. I don't always do the same thing, but yeah, the sepia kind of everywhere with not super precise line work, because I know I'm going to refine it later. I'm going to make it smaller or bigger. I'm going to play with the darker zones and the lighter zones. And then I mix a little sort of average color that is a bit of white on top of that, and made the whole thing in a sepia color. You can see there on my palette on the left, it's colors, red, yellow, white, and black. Primary colors. I really like to work with primary colors. It's literally cadmium yellow or cadmium red and black and white. Obviously, you can work with a lot of different colors if you like to. For watercolors, sometimes I would use funky colors, but I like to create my own colors and mix them up all together. And using a limited palette kind of saves you time, so you want to go straight for the energy of the image that you're doing. And you see there, I'm kind of putting a little bit more dark or kind of dark lines on some of the area to make sure it has a little bit more oomph, if you will. I always like my images to have a little bit of energy. Rarely stay in the mid-range, but obviously it depends on what you're doing. And then at some point you'll see me adding a couple of blues there. So the blue that I've added, one of them is cerulean blue and the other one is cobalt. And cobalt I find that it's a bit hard to make with primary colors, so it's one of the exceptions. I always buy cobalt, sort of a purpley color, and then the cerulean, which is a primary color. And with that, you can do just about everything. You can do all sorts of greens, all sorts of blues, etc., etc. Mix some blue, some brown, some red all together to create this sort of bluish tinge that I'm gonna add here and there. Not everywhere, I just like to leave some of it. And then in a little while, you're going to see me paint outside the model to make it more powerful, if you will, like to detach it from the background. So it's quite important to think of the background as something that participates in whatever you're doing. The white background in this particular case is not satisfying. Like I could have painted just white around the character, but I just thought, no, I need some kind of atmosphere. And the image there, the idea was that everything's moving all the time. This is what I'm doing. I just like action. She's moving, she's looking up. She has this machine gun and a sword, because why not? Looking sexy. I do love these very cheesy movies from the 1980s, like I said. And even modern ones that sort of follow that trend. Like, there's not too realistic, but very imaginative. One movie I was thinking about is 10,000 BC. I really love that movie. It's completely silly, if you think about it. There's cavemen fighting mammoths in a place that looks like Switzerland's. And then some of them get kidnapped and they're taken as slaves to build the pyramids. And on the way there, they encounter a giant ostrich that used to live in South America, I think. And then when they arrive, the pyramids are being built with mammoths. I just love that movie. It's just a complete cheesecake. For me, it's fantastic. And all told by Omar Sharif. Yeah, he's the narrator of that story. The mammoths are really well done. They have like a CGI look, but it's very well made. The saber-toothed tiger is kind of so it looks very CGI. I wish they had a bit more time to make it less digital, if you will. But the whole film is cool. I've watched that several times, and in the end, you have this kind of alien, whatever weird guy that builds the pyramid, and he's a total master It's very cool. These sort of movies, if you look at Amazon, you will see a few older, like the Deathstalkers and all these. Yeah, I really love them. There's one called Sorcerer, or the something and the Sorcerer. Obviously Conan the Barbarian is my favorite movie, but that's not cheesy. That to me is just an insanely cool movie. I saw it when I was young, and I saw it in the cinema, and it just was transformative. And this is a elevated one of those movies, if you will, like high fantasy, but done seriously with a world that you actually can believe in. You can still watch it now. It's done with real stunts, real swords. They build real sets, and it looks amazing. And the story, the dialogue, it was impressive back then. It's still impressive right now. If you watch the first 20 minutes, you'll see what I mean. Just the making of that sword, the message of Conan's father. I've read all the Conan book there. It's quite different. The Conan from the book is different from the one in the movie, but who cares? This is a movie, a John Milius movie, and John Milius made it with his own ideas, and it's very successful, in my opinion. So I watched that movie maybe 25 times. So yeah, here's a little bit of the background. So I wanted something that was kind of a bluish tinge and kind of grey bluish tinge with a little bit of green. A subtle color like that, so it kind of contrasts with this orangey color of the girl. And I want to evoke the feeling of movement. That's why you can see the painting is not everywhere the same. I leave bits of the background of the white here and there, and I think at some point you'll see me. I don't know if I record it, because sometimes the camera knocks it. You can see my head popping up and down sometimes, the bottom of the image. And so sometimes I forget to record or something like that. But I use a toothbrush to put like a little bit of spray some paint generally at the bottom. So it adds a bit of texture and a bit of movements. See, the gun there is now refined. I've looked at some reference. I don't copy. I just make it. I don't like to copy photos. Some artists do that, and it's totally fine to do that. And I'm not aiming for high realism there. I'm just aiming for my style, which is sort of comic-y and it's sort of high energy and movement, action, something that transports you there. I do want to do bigger paintings. I do sometimes, but it's just like when I'm working, when I'm teaching, when I'm marking, doing all classes, I don't have the time for planning something really well. I just this sort of thing is the only thing I have the time to do. So yeah, that's almost finished, and you will see the finished painting in a very short while. Like I said, it's about sped up 950, it's 9 times basically, and almost 10 times, and 950% faster, I think it is. And yeah, okay, I hope you enjoyed that.